Welcome. We're live with a special show to recap the NFL trade deadline. And I feel like this was one of the more active deadlines in a while, as Jesse and Trogdor say. What do you think, Ryan? I feel like this was on the list of more active ones, no?
Yeah, it had to be. It felt like an NBA trade deadline out here. Moves were
Oh,
actually
really?
being made. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, no. I feel that.
But yeah, exciting day.
It got started super early.
Oh yeah. Rolled out of bed and saw that one.
I know. What time did you wake up?
Oh gosh, like 10:30. Didn't it happen like 11? Or am I just like
I don't like to get out of bed. As the people know that Tyler likes to sleep in. He likes to, take a nap, an additional nap. But enough of that. If you're here, I appreciate you. If you're watching it after, that's all good. Check out our recap show from yesterday. What a lovely day. It's beautiful outside in New York. Beautiful here. Does not feel like November 1st. It's like 67 degrees. Beautiful. I was outside earlier trying to wake up. Toronto Dave gives us some emojis. And then Sleepy. A two favorite. We're the favorites? Aw.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why Ryan is the favorite. I don't know why anyone would say
we have a lot to talk about for him today. The recovering Ridley Truther.
I know. He's recovered.
Yeah.
But if you're here, like, subscribe, leave a comment in the chat or after, depending on when you're watching. Oh, fuck the Packers.
We're gonna go in.
They're a bunch of losers. Losers. Brian Goudafailure and Mark Poophead. Mark Murphy, the president, and I think Aaron Rodgers will retire. I think it's going to be time. I think he's tired of them. One of my friends is a Packers fan. I hope she might have watched my stream yesterday and today. I did actually watch the game with her on Sunday night, and I described it as before in advance. I said this will be the Packers' funeral, and that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. It was the Packers' funeral. Big failure. That's right. Big failure. Big failure. Packers are big failure. And I think we all know that.
At least the Rams tried.
Yeah. Let's jump into we'll jump into the chat, but I do want to get to the topics this time. Although I think we'll cover them all probably in the chat. Afternoon, Calvin Ridley outlook, keep trade cut. I mean, what are you going to do? You keep him, right? You can sell him. You can sell him if you need a player who can help you this year. You can sell him, right?
Well, yeah. What do you think you get for him in terms of a pick, not let alone a player?
Yeah, but why are you selling him for a pick? I feel like nobody's going to do that.
That's true.
You get Calvin Ridley later, you get a pick later. I feel like that doesn't make sense.
I'd rather Calvin Ridley.
The only reason
that's what I'm saying.
Calvin Ridley is if you're going to get a player who you can start now. But if you could trade Calvin Ridley, you think you can maybe trade Calvin Ridley for Tyler Boyd? You do that.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd is going to be startable while Jamar Chase is out. Would you trade Calvin Ridley for Tyler Boyd? We don't know. I think otherwise you just hang on to Calvin Ridley, and the second he comes back, he's going to be worth more. I like this. This to me shows also that Calvin Ridley is going to this. It's not that I love the Jaguars' destination. It's more just that this shows that he's going to play in the NFL again. His career is not over. I think the downside with Calvin Ridley has been reduced after this trade. It's more that he was traded than where he was traded. That is such a big plus for me because I think they're going to add yet another receiver. They have Evan Ingram was a 1-year deal. So they have Christian Kirk. Now they have Calvin Ridley. I think they're going to add another receiving weapon. I'm not sure that Calvin Ridley, I don't know. This isn't as important because we're talking about an outlook for next year. But, it's a good move. Good move. Edmonds versus Hunt rest of season. So Edmonds is now on the Broncos. We're going to talk about that. We kind of forgot about that one. It was part of the Bradley Chubb deal. But Edmonds is on the Broncos versus Hunt, who was not traded. I think if I had to choose, I'd take Hunt.
Yeah, the Broncos seems like it's going to be a committee.
It's going to be an unusable committee, I think. I don't think you're going to be able to start any of them. I think they're going to use all three backs, and you're going to be able to start none of them.
Rappaport just tweeted out his, the post 4 o'clock moves, and it's just defenders. No fantasy relevant trades to talk about that happened.
Okay. Failure alert. I love it. I think the big winner in the Hawk trade is Cook. So let's start with that one. The Hawkinson trade. That was the first trade. So we'll talk about that. So TJ Hawkinson was traded. Do you have the comp? It was a second round pick. I know
it was second and a third.
Second and third. Okay.
TJ Hawkinson, a fourth, and a conditional fourth.
So TJ Hawkinson is under contract through 2023. The Lions picked up his 5th-year option. That carries over to the Vikings. So they will have him under control of that contract this year and next year. Irv Smith is actually, he was a second or third round pick.
Second.
He's actually a free agent after this year. So they're going to let him walk. Irv Smith is only 24. I hear people saying Irv Smith is dead. Irv Smith has been Irv Smith's best season of the ones he's played. Irv Smith is not dead to me in Dynasty. He's going to join the group of players like, Mike Gesicki is going to probably be the prize on the free agent market, but Irv Smith will be a close second. So he's not totally dead. I wouldn't drop him in Dynasty or anything. He's out 8 to 10 weeks. He's out the rest of the season.
Is that the hype with all the tight ends? Remember when Njoku was supposed to go to a different spot? Now Gesicki was last offseason. Now he's going to get a new one this season.
But they're not going to retain Irv Smith. The Vikings are not the Browns. The Vikings play 11 basically exclusively. So there's no purpose to have Irv Smith.
Tight ends for them to go to different spots, it seems at this point.
I mean, he's younger, and I think this is also the kind of thing where I don't think they made this trade because they don't make this trade if Irv Smith doesn't get hurt. They're a competitor now. They're trying to win now. They needed to replace Irv Smith for the rest of the year with someone who could fill in that spot, and in this case, fill in better. They needed to do that to continue competing this year. They're not really thinking, yes, this changes their outlook for next year, but I don't think that was the thought process. I actually don't see this trade as an indictment on Irv Smith's talent. This is saying that Irv Smith is not going to come back this year. He's out 8 to 10 weeks. He's out for the rest of the season, and they needed someone to replace him. And then now they have someone better for 2023. Irv Smith walks. I actually think he's been pretty good this year. He's been like a high-end to middling tight end too. He's only 24. I would not give up on him. I don't think he's going to get a big deal, but I think he's going to get a 1-year prove-it deal, similar to what Gerald Everett and Evan Ingram got this offseason. Evan Ingram actually got a lot more, but Gerald Everett, 1 year, $6 million kind of deal. I think he's going to get something like that. And I would not give up on him. I've dropped him before the trade. I believe I had Irv Smith at Dynasty tight end 13. Now I think I have him at 18. So not totally off the map. He's still a good prospect.
No. But this feels like a chip shove for the Vikings. I mean, they only have 1 loss, and their loss was to the undefeated Eagles. So,
oh no, this is a great trade. This is a great trade for them.
This is a great trade I think it's a win-win for both teams.
Now, so let's talk about the whole thing. Let's start with the Vikings. So we talked about Irv Smith already. What about Hawk? Do you think this is better or worse? Because I think it's worse, but I think a lot of people think it's better. I don't. I think it's worse. I think it's far worse. I think this is not good for him. I think they're bringing him in because a lot to be a blocker, like Talon says here. And he is not the number 1. Justin Jefferson's the number 1. He's not the number 2. Adam Thielen's that. So,
I think he could overtake Adam Thielen.
No, I don't think so. Adam Thielen has been getting more usage than I would have thought. I don't think he's overtaking Adam Thielen anytime soon.
I mean, unless they're going to George Kittle him, they paid a premium for him.
I think they didn't pay that much.
It feels like a premium. For a tight end, it feels like a premium.
Yeah, but he was drafted 8th overall, and they got him at a discount when his career, he's actually been pretty good. He's actually been a good tight end, and they paid not much for him.
The Lions just need to stop drafting tight ends in the first round.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying they didn't pay much for him, and he's a great blocker. I just think that you're going to be disappointed again with TJ Hawkinson. This is not good for him. I think this is a downgrade. Better quarterback, but it's also a team that's been playing from ahead. A team that's been playing from ahead, that's been winning games, and he's not going to be in Detroit without DJ Chark and Jamison Williams, there was a little bit of a target vacuum. They were relying on DeAndre Swift, also out for periods of time. They were relying on TJ Hawkinson as a key piece of their receiving offense. The Vikings don't need TJ Hawkinson. What I do think this does is this absolutely demolishes KJ Osborne to irrelevance. There's just nothing. He wasn't relevant before, but now he's just dead, unfortunately. I don't think he's a bad player, but no room for him. So yeah, this maybe affects Adam Thielen a teeny bit, but it doesn't affect Justin Jefferson at all. If anyone is thinking that, I don't think anyone is that stupid. But
where would you have Hawkinson rest of the season?
Well, okay, so in Dynasty, I moved him down a little bit overall, but I didn't really move him down among tight ends. He remains. He remains at tight end 7 in Dynasty. The Dynasty tight end landscape's ugly.
Neither does redraft when I was looking at it.
I have Pitts at 1 in Dynasty, then Andrews at 2, Kelsey, Kittle, Freiermuth at 5, and Goddard at 6. Hawk at 7.
Yeah, that's for Dynasty. I think rest of the season he could be top 6, top 7, but like at that
this
number.
week I have him at 12. I don't want to play him this week.
Well, not this week.
It's at Washington. I think I'm just gonna wait a week and see. I have him at tight end 12. I'd rather not play him.
But looking at the plays this week, it's just I think you can put him up there for the rest of the season, honestly.
Yeah, I probably have him around 8 or 9.
Well, you have to at this point.
There's no one else. But rest of season, to give you a comparison, I would rather have Greg Dulcich over Hawk. Rest of season.
That one drive was pretty good, but
Greg Dulcich is so good. Greg Dulcich has it. He has that it factor. You love it when you love to see it when a tight end, it's very difficult to do, comes in and is immediately good, and not just good enough that he's relegated Cortland Sutton off the fantasy radar. That good. Essentially, once Greg Dulcich came in, Cortland Sutton became irrelevant. So I would rather have Greg Dulcich rest of season over TJ Hawkinson. We just don't know. We don't know. Look, TJ Hawkinson's only 25. He's not old for a tight end. I mean, his best years, I think, are ahead of him, not behind him as a player. But I think it's a mid-season acquisition. I think it's more likely to pay off for him next year when they actually have time to integrate him into the offense. I think they're going to sign him to an extension. Will you really trade all this for a year and a half of a player? I don't think so. I think they sign him to an extension. I think he's a core piece that they want moving forward. And I think he'll be integrated into the offense. So, but the rest of this year, it's kind of going to be difficult, I think, to do that on the fly. Because TJ Hawkinson and Irv Smith are not the same player. They're actually very, very little in common. TJ Hawkinson is a George Kittle wannabe. Whereas Irv Smith is what? Evan Ingram type?
Seems like a good comp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Irv Smith is blocking and TJ Hawkinson is excellent. But yeah, I totally agree with this. It's going to improve Dalvin Cook. The run game has been a little shaky there. All right. So no one gave a 4th for Hunt. I'm kind of surprised. That the Browns are 3-5. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't accommodate Kareem Hunt's trade request. But this isn't the Cam Akers situation or the Elijah Moore or the Brandon Cooks. Kareem Hunt is just going to come back and he's going to play. I don't, what is he going to do? Demand a release? I don't think the Browns are going to accommodate him with a release.
Nah.
So he doesn't have the same amount of money in his contract as like Cooks or something. He doesn't have the same trade value as Elijah Moore. This is the last year of his deal. I don't see what he just is going to come back and play. Right? I mean, what else is there?
Do you think last night had an impact on them not granting his trade request after they blew out the Bengals? I mean,
I do think that
they can make a run now.
Made the difference between them going full fire sale and not. I think that gave them a slight bit of hope.
I mean, they're only 2 games out.
No, I agree with you. That it gave them hope. But I mean, Hunt was involved. He was involved in the passing game. 4 for 30. I mean, he's actually the one who got the Njoku work. The missing Njoku work. Harrison Bryant put up a big fat nothing. David Bell, 2 for 27. So it's actually Kareem Hunt who got more involved. So without David, they're on a bye this week. Without David Njoku, if he misses more time, Kareem Hunt could be a little bit more involved. But I think it's pretty clear that the split between Chubb and Hunt has grown. But in Dynasty, I don't know what you do with Kareem Hunt. The rest of the year, you wanted him to be traded, obviously. I think we all did.
Oh, yeah.
But
LA was sitting right there.
But I would say that he's someone like he's going to, you see Raheem Mostert is starting right now. Like, he's going to get a starting job next offseason. Not a workhorse job. I don't think he can do that anymore. But I don't think it's been so long. I mean, he hasn't been a workhorse since 2018, outside of a game or two. But
that's possible. We could see it. Maybe in a place like Atlanta.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere he's going to be the starter. They'll have another back, but it'll be a similar role to what he played in Cleveland, except he'll be the starter. There are teams like that where the starter is the one who gets the passing down work, and the backup is the one who kind of mixes in on grinder downs and stuff like that. It's a good example of a backfield like that, where the starter is the one who takes the passing down work. The backup is a grinder. I don't think of one off the top of my head.
I mean, maybe anyway. Like early Kamara.
Oh, Green Bay.
Yeah,
Green Bay. A team will be looking to sign Hunt to play the Aaron Jones role, the starter who takes passing down work and some goal line. Yeah, that's one right there. Speaking of the Packers, they're an embarrassment. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're embarrassing. Embarrassing. I mean, the Packers are an embarrassment. They're a disgraceful franchise. And, they're riding on their name. A lot of I was about to say like a lot of fantasy analysts. But I didn't want to be too mean. Yeah, the Packers are riding on their reputation of being the Packers, and they don't actually deliver. They don't make moves. They don't prepare. They were not prepared for this week's game. They were not prepared to play against the Jets when that happened, that loss. They were not prepared for the Commanders. They were not prepared for their game against the Giants. They were not prepared going into this season. Not prepared. I said before the season, you cannot go into a season with this type of receiving weapons because what if there are injuries? There are injuries every year in the NFL. You cannot predict it. You must have backup and alternate plans. They did not have any plans. And then the injury bug strikes. Christian Watson has missed time. Alan Lazard has missed time. Randall Cobb has missed time. Sammy Watkins has missed time. But they didn't have any backup plans. And none of these players were all that good to begin with. So now they did not trade for Brandon Cooks or anyone else. And they are looking down an incoming disaster coming up. And I think this week, against Detroit could be the end. If they lose this week, that's the end. It's over. The end of everything. Right? I mean, that's it.
It's very
they go
possible.
to 3-6.
I mean, with how Detroit's offense has been looking, even though Swift is...
Swift has his own issues, but
still, I think this very well could be the end. I think you're right. And who knows? We might see Rodgers right off into the sunset on a terrible note this offseason.
Oh,
and that's why they kept Jordan Love.
Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny if they went back to Jordan Love?
I don't know if it's funny or a likely outcome. I feel like it's a likely outcome at this point.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So let's move into. I think we talked enough about the TJ Hawkinson trade. I think we're good for that one.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this question and from Trogdor and move on to Chase Claypool. So Chase Claypool was traded to the Bears for the Bears second round pick and a fifth, was it? Or was it a fifth back?
Yep.
And a fifth.
Yeah. I can't believe it's the Bears second, not the Ravens. Maybe they trade in and get greenlit quick enough, or
So,
maybe that's just how
which
they
side
value
do you
him.
want to talk about first? Steelers or Bears?
You can talk about the Bears. I'm more excited to talk about the Steelers, though.
Bears. Okay. So for me, this says that here's what the Bears are doing. They will go with Justin Fields for this year and next year. They will. Because trade makes no sense otherwise. But Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet, all three contracts expire after 2023. Contracts expire, all of them. Then they will probably draft a wide receiver or sign a free agent. Who are the good free agents? I mean, who's even the best free agent available? Juju again? Like, probably. Juju again. I mean, you never know who will be cut. But I think right now Juju is the best free agent again. Unless I'm forgetting someone.
Yeah, I'll let you know on that. But I mean, yeah, the Bears are all in on Justin Fields. He's looked good these past couple weeks.
Not really as a passer or with volume. So
I'm talking more fantasy wise.
He looks good for himself. But that's not the question. The question is, you don't want any receivers to go there. So this is bad, actually. This makes Chase Claypool's value go down, not up. Because this is the worst. If I had to pick dead last of anywhere he could have gone, this was last. Last on my list. Worst place to go. Absolute worst. Because you're going somewhere that is going to bring in another receiver next year, where you're not even usable in the current climate. I don't think he's that much better off in Chicago. I'm not actually even sure he is better off in Chicago than he was in Pittsburgh. The pie, I mean, you went from Kenny Pickett, who was throwing all the time, to now not throwing at all. So actually, I think Chase Claypool's value has gone down, not up. But the one who lost, his value was already down. The one who lost more value is actually Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney was not usable before. And now he has to share with a player who's a lot better than anyone else they had. So Darnell Mooney is no longer usable either. And again, similar to Chase Claypool, he's in the same situation where this is not it. They're going to bring in someone else because these guys are not ones. They're twos, really, both of them. They're going to bring in someone else. It could be one of the top receivers in next year's class. They still have that first round pick. And I don't want these guys. And also Cole Kmet, dead and buried with this. Dead and buried. He is completely worthless. I'm not saying cut him. Redraft, cut him. Redraft, he never should have drafted him. But in Dynasty, Cole Kmet has no value. Roster clogger. You can't start him, can't trade him, can't really drop him.
It's tough. I just feel like it's a lateral move for Chase Claypool because like that Pittsburgh offense was also putrid. And I just think Chicago's going to want to give him the ball.
Chicago has to want to pass the ball in order to want to get him the ball. That's the problem. They don't want to pass the ball.
They do have 16 less passing attempts than Pittsburgh. But maybe they want to pass more. Maybe they want to see what they have in Justin Fields. I mean, this kind of looks like a lost season. Maybe they could change their offensive game plan a little bit.
I think that they're preparing for next year. They've acquired, this is their free agent acquisition. They've acquired Chase Claypool. They will acquire another wide receiver in the first round, almost for sure. And they will have actually a good offense. If you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, and then Justin Fields fails, then it is what it is. Then you blame him. And then what will happen is that's it. These two, Eberflus and Poles, have tied themselves to all of these people. And if they fail, they'll all be gone. All of them. Poles. I mean, this is it. Poles, Eberflus, Claypool, Mooney. They'll all be gone. All of them. Fields with them. And after 2023, they'll all be gone.
That's why they're going to open up the checkbook this offseason with their over $100 million in cap. So
well, they better open up the checkbook to fix the offensive line. That's where they need to open up the checkbook because the offensive line is no good. No good. It is really bad.
I mean,
The
looking at
defense. What about that one?
I mean, they have a lot of money though.
Well, then they better spend it. Right?
Yeah. The only free agent wide receiver that you could argue, actually, I think it's better than Chase Claypool is Jacoby Myers. So, and maybe Juju if you want to count that.
Maybe.
But besides that, class is very
anyway,
lackluster.
More interesting side of this one, I think, is the other side. Because I think this has fixed all of the problems for Pittsburgh.
I mean, besides the play calling.
No. The problem of losing is not fixed. That one is not fixed because they continue to give the ball to Trent Richardson. Oh, sorry, Najee Harris. Najee Harris.
So true, though.
Sorry, I forgot that his name was Najee Harris. It just reminded me of Trent Richardson so much.
Stats are identical, basically.
Basically, yeah. But it fixes the problem from a fantasy perspective because Deontay Johnson was just getting enough volume to squeak by, but now will get more volume similar to what he was getting in the past. George Pickens was unfortunately not playing a full-time role. He was playing as a wide receiver 3 in snaps. He will now play as the wide receiver 2 in snaps.
That's a fireable offense.
Yes. But I think they were showcasing Chase Claypool to trade him, which they did do.
It worked. They got like a top 40
I mean, they got
pick.
way more than he's ever worth. They got more back for him than they used to draft him. But whatever.
Unbelievable.
George Pickens will increase in value for sure. And he's faced a lot of tough matchups. Last week was Philly. You know, the Steelers face some easier matchups. This is a bye week for them. Maybe Trent Richardson can get healthy over the... Oh, sorry. Najee Harris can get healthy over the bye week. Najee Harris is so bad. So bad.
That play in the open field where it was... I forget what... It was like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2.
It's
and
bad.
He got that check down and he did not get it. That's cuttable worthy.
But yeah, I wouldn't write off... George Pickens, for me, is the big beneficiary. I mean, he had, 6 or more targets in 5 straight games, and leading into the disaster against the Eagles. He's been good. He's been good. I would not worry about him. I think he's going to be usable now, whereas he was kind of inconsistent before. Yeah. And in Dynasty, I'd rather have George Pickens over Deontay Johnson, especially now. But Deontay Johnson was really losing value and would have continued to decline if Chase Claypool had stayed. So he gains a little bit back. I will also say Pat Freiermuth moved up for me. Similar to George Pickens, I feel like there was just one person too many on this offense. I feel like the offense can support Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and Pat Freiermuth if they're really going to throw all the time. But not all of them with Chase Claypool having 5 receptions a game. They couldn't. That was too much. But take Chase. The Steelers always focus on their stars. So they're not it's not like other teams. The Chase Claypool receptions are not going to be spread across everyone else like I would usually say. They're going to go to their bigger players more. So it will actually help their other players. Whereas on other teams, I would say that's less likely. On this team, I'm more confident. This is the team that always focuses on their top weapons. This is the Antonio Brown, Juju when he was in as a star, Le'Veon Bell. This is that team, the one who always leans on their best players. So,
I mean, I hope Matt Canada will get a clue and lean on his best players.
He has been. It's not that he's not leaning on his best players.
The
problem is that all the play calling is uninteresting, unexciting, and bad. It's not who's involved. It's how they're getting them involved. That's the problem. So they need to fix that. But they're getting the right players involved, just not well. So they have to work on that. But I think that's enough about... Oh, one last thing. Calvin Austin, he was a 4th-round choice this year. He hasn't... I don't know. Is he been healthy?
He hasn't.
He started.
He wasn't activated. He wasn't activated in the 21-day window to practice.
Oh yeah, so they ended his season. So
yeah,
never mind. Forget him. So his season.
Steven
is over.
Sims is going to get some playing time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I totally missed that Calvin Austin's season was ended. But he's a good stash if they somehow don't add anyone else, but I think they will, and that'll bury him. But he's a good offseason stash. All right. What's next? Or here, let's see what's in the chat. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He's
Brandon
mad.
Cooks is very mad. Very mad. Have you seen any news about this since the deadline?
That he's mad?
No, more than that. Like that he's actually going to do something about it.
Nope. I've just heard that he is unhappy.
Yeah, it says that the Green Bay was the favorite for Chase Claypool, but then the Bears swooped in.
That's funny. At least you tried, Packers. At least you tried.
Brandon Cooks was excused from today's practice for personal reasons.
I mean, this does seem like a scenario where he will take it that far and try to get a release and try to get on a playoff team or something.
Yeah, but they can't release him.
I know.
They would owe him $43 million if released. They can't even release him next year.
They'll trade him next year, right?
Well, they have to. I'm surprised they didn't trade him today. You think Brandon Cooks would really walk away? Costing himself $43 million? I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but we've seen crazier.
We've seen crazier things than that, but I can't see Brandon Cooks just being like, I don't want $43 million. That just seems. I think he's gonna suck it up. I would too for $43 million. I'm not gonna lie. You know.
I mean, it's easy when we're looking at it from the
Well, he can also quiet quit. That's what he would do. Quiet quit. It's like, I just work. This is always what I say players should do. It's like, I just work here. Nope, the practice is over. Okay, I'm going to go home now. I'll be back when the next practice starts. But not before. Rehab? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm unavailable that day. It's going to have to wait until I'm on the clock. You know.
Could just Kenny Galladay them.
Well, you could just say that you're injured. That's always a choice. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, Brandon Cooks is like floating outside of the startable range anyway. Like before all of this drama, I had him at wide receiver 28 this week. So I guess that means he's a start, but I'm not like enthusiastic.
He got there in garbage time. So
yeah, I'm not enthusiastic. Davis Mills is horrible. Like absolutely horrible. I gained 2 RB1s today, Hines and Wilson. No, you didn't. What do you expect from Hines? Nothing. I don't know. Why do people expect anything from Nyheim Hines?
The trade comp was so low that...
Yeah, I expect nothing.
Was a conditional fifth in Zach Moss?
Yeah, nothing from Nyheim Hines.
I mean, I like this more for what Bryce said in the next comment, but that's on the indie side of things.
Yeah. So you want to you want to move into Nyheim Hines?
Why not?
Sure.
You could save the Calvin Ridley stuff.
So yeah, the Calvin Ridley stuff, I feel like we can just save in general. I mean, it happened. It's good to talk about, but we're in the middle of a season. We're trying to win fantasy titles. You know, Calvin Ridley really isn't a part of that. I just think it's interesting to note that it happened now. I thought that's kind of odd, but yeah, it's not a super big part of
the conditions of the trade were very interesting.
It is a buy low opportunity for me on Christian Kirk. If people are like, oh, Calvin Ridley is going to come back into be the one, I disagree. I think Christian Kirk is ahead of Calvin Ridley in the pecking order, and will be next year. People forget Calvin Ridley looked abysmal before he went out, like abysmal, like horrible. Like he was one of the worst receivers in the league. So who played that much?
Brandon Cook's status on Sleeper has just changed from healthy to questionable.
Questionable with what?
That's a great question. I'll answer that for you. I just looked down at my phone, saw that, but
questionable with what? Questionable with I don't feel like playing?
I mean, that's
I guess. I don't know. So what do you expect from Hines? I mean, this
wrist.
Wrist? Oh, how convenient.
Wrist and non-injury related designations.
Okay. So how much does this trade, let's talk about the Bills first. How much does this trade affect Devin Singletary, if at all?
I mean, I think it does a little bit, but he looked good Sunday night.
Yeah.
This is more against James Cook, and I don't know what's wrong with James Cook because when he steps on the field, he looks
He
good.
actually looked pretty good. Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe I don't know. Maybe Hines is going to fill a slot receiver role. I doubt that.
No, there's no way. This team has already too many of those.
They have Shakir and Isaiah McKenzie.
And it's
I
not.
don't know
They're
where
not
to
playing
put
10
Hines.
personnel because they have Dawson Knox on a massive contract.
So that means James Cook's just done. So,
well, I mean, Naeem Hines is, to be fair, and I do think this is interesting. If you can get James Cook for a third, still, I might do it because Devin Singletary is a free agent after this year. Naeem Hines, all of the guaranteed money on his contract is this year, and the trade comp was nothing. They would owe Naeem Hines $4.7 million next year and $5 million the year after. There's no guarantee that they're going to keep Naeem Hines, especially if they don't use him. They didn't pay much to get him. I think this is more insurance than anything else. They're a team who could, RB2 is like shaky. And now this is both insurance and a player you can use if there's an injury. Like if Devin Singletary got hurt, you could put James Cook in Devin Singletary's role and Naeem Hines in James Cook's role. It wouldn't be ideal, but you could. Whereas before, you would kind of have to play Zach Moss at some point, which they obviously didn't want to do. So I think this is more insurance. This is a good move. I mean, I don't mind it for a real life perspective, but for fantasy, you can't start Naeem Hines. I was almost going to recommend James Cook as a start this week. Not as a start, but as a sneaky start against the Jets. If the Jets got boat raced, and then James Cook could play in garbage time. But now you can't trust them. You can't trust either one. So this is, I think, going back to now where we were before, where you can only play Devin Singletary. And this week, I'm not playing Naeem Hines or James Cook. I have to see it. I have them at 44 and 45 right now for the week.
I mean, of course you have to see it. It's just, it does feel like insurance with the comp, but
yeah, I had Singletary at 18 before the news. I have him at 21 now, just because I feel like he might bleed a little bit more work than he did before.
Do you think you get James Cook for a third? I don't think you could.
That's
do
what
that.
I said before. Well, not
yeah, but do you think you said you should try it? Do you think you could do it? You think you could realistically?
It doesn't matter if I think you can do it. Try.
I mean, obviously, got to try. But most managers picked him. He snuck into the end of the first in draft season.
To me,
I saw him go late first in some drafts. I saw him go early first in some drafts.
I hated James Cook, but also James Cook was a second round pick. You really think it's frustrating because I really don't. I don't know. I don't think that his career is over.
But when are you going to see it? You're not going to see it this year. You might not see it next year. You did say they could get out of that Hines contract, but
that's not what matters. It's the Devin Singletary contract that matters. And he's up. It's over after this year. So
they'll resign him, and fantasy managers will.
Yeah. Well, then if they resign him, then that's it. And Devin Singletary remains the starter, and that's it. But also, this is frustrating for Devin Singletary because it's in Buffalo. You really need to get everything with Josh Allen. You need to get everything as the running back, and if you don't get everything, it's hard. You're not going to be more than a back end RB2. But to answer the question, I expect nothing from Naeem Hines. This is a downgrade, not an upgrade, because before, I really do believe that I was wrong. And if Jonathan Taylor had actually missed, if we'd actually seen it, Naeem Hines more without Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines would have been good. Naeem Hines would have been high. But now, even if everyone else gets hurt, Naeem Hines has no upside.
I mean, yeah, it does crush his value a lot.
This is a downgrade. I don't know why people think this is an upgrade. This is a downgrade.
This is the one that I agree with you as a downgrade. We didn't agree on the last one or Hawk, but it's so hard to get the volume in Buffalo. And like you said, he's gonna get none of it. Did Josh Allen ever check down?
Basically never.
Exactly. He went from Matt Ryan, which we know he got benched, to Sam Ehlinger, now to Josh Allen, who's not going to throw him the ball at all. So
I just don't see any value for Naeem Hines. So what about Jeff Wilson? Jeff Wilson, I think, is more interesting.
Yeah, him and Raheem Mostert teaming up again.
That was not in the same trade, but that was completely different. Yeah, as part of the Or no, that was totally different. The 49ers traded Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins. And this makes sense because the 49ers had a problem at running back. They traded for Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell, they have under contract for 2 more seasons after this one. And he's been good. They're not going to get rid of him under 2 rookie year deals. I mean, his contract goes through 2023. Or no, 2024. He's a rookie last year. And he's been good. Well, he's insurance. And now they also spent 3 more years of Tyrion Davis-Price. So there's just no need. And with Christian McCaffrey, there was just no need for Jeff Wilson. I believe Elijah Mitchell will return after the bye. They expect him to return for week 10. I'm not saying that. Close. I'm pretty sure they expect him to return. I'm not saying that Elijah Mitchell is going to be playable, but Elijah Mitchell becomes one of the best handcuffs in football. If now with Jeff Wilson gone, if Christian McCaffrey were to go down, Elijah Mitchell would be an RB1.
Yeah, I feel like that's
kind of like Jeff Wilson before him at times.
It's more interesting to see what's going to happen in Miami with this split between Mostert and Wilson and how that's going to play out.
But yeah, this doesn't really affect anything in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey is the only one you can play while he's healthy. And everything else is just backups. In Miami, what changed? Do you think anything changed? Are you more afraid of Jeff Wilson than you were Chase Edmonds? Chase Edmonds is a better player.
I think Jeff Wilson's a better player. I think we disagree on that one.
They both fit this scheme very well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Chase Edmonds to me offered, they didn't use him this way, but Chase Edmonds offered things that Raheem Mostert can't do. Whereas Jeff Wilson to me is more of a Raheem Mostert clone. They're more similar. So yeah, I don't know what that means.
I mean, they were using Edmonds as a goal line back, so.
I do think they trust Jeff Wilson more. So I think he'll get maybe a little bit more work, but I don't think that Jeff Wilson is going to be the starter. I think this is similar to the Nyheim Hines deal. This is insurance.
Yeah, but this feels like extra insurance because we know Raheem Mostert is 30 and has a history.
But also,
of injuries.
this deal makes even more sense because they sent their backup running back to get Bradley Chubb, and they needed a backup running back, and now they're
props for them for going all in.
Right, but they had. It's not like the Bills who acquired. I guess they traded their other backup running back away. So
they did. Zach Moss did get shipped out,
so it's kind of similar. But in this case, the Bills were upgrading, whereas the Dolphins were fixing a problem that they themselves created. So it's a little different. They specifically, I think that Jeff Wilson, there's actually a role for him. But how big this week is at Chicago. I have Raheem Mostert. I didn't move Raheem Mostert in my rankings. I'm still going to go with him. I have him at running back 17. I feel like you have to play him. But yeah. I have Jeff Wilson at running back 35. There's a lot of bye weeks. If you're desperate, I wouldn't want to play him. But at the very least, though, Jeff Wilson has a good path now. Because before, he was stuck because Elijah Mitchell was coming back. So Jeff Wilson was going to be the RB3 on that team. Now, because we know Elijah Mitchell was ahead of Jeff Wilson. And we know Kyle Shanahan always returns to the pecking order. So Elijah Mitchell was going to be ahead of Jeff Wilson again. But now he is a Raheem Mostert injury away, which is, as you know, very likely, from being a startable running back. So Jeff Wilson should be rostered in all redraft leagues. He has, I would say I have him RB35 this week. So he has low-end RB3 value in this kind of good matchup and handcuff value otherwise.
Would you make him a high waiver priority this weekend? Obviously, there's not much
depending
on waivers.
On who else is available, but I don't think he's on most waivers because I think most people continue to keep him as a handcuff to Christian McCaffrey, and he was obviously rostered before that. So I don't think he's available.
I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Wow.
I would not expect him to be out there in most leagues.
You're right. So, but I feel like the Hines trade does more for Deion Jackson.
Yes, I agree with you. Let's talk about that. Deion Jackson, they did trade for Zach Moss, but Deion Jackson is their RB2. It's just a question of, is Deion Jackson more of a handcuff? Or is he going to see more receiving work? What is this going to do for Jonathan Taylor? I think it can only help. I think eliminating the Nyheim Hines role because Deion Jackson is not Nyheim Hines. So he's not going to have the same Nyheim Hines role that Nyheim Hines had. So this can only help Jonathan Taylor. It can't hurt.
Yeah. I'm looking at I found the Jeff Wilson stuff. He was dropped in 32% of leagues this past week.
So then maybe he's probably the
rostered
number one waiver
45%.
claim.
So half the leagues. So.
Yeah, he's probably the number one waiver claim. So I guess I would look at him for sure. He's out there. Deion Jackson. In redraft, I would say, is he a must roster? Would you say you have to? Like, is he's not a must roster to me in the same way that Jeff Wilson is. Because I think Jeff Wilson's going to have a little bit more of a role. I think Deion Jackson's going to have very little role while Jonathan Taylor's healthy.
I agree. And that offense just doesn't have much potential.
That offense is bad, and Sam Ehlinger does not check down like Matt Ryan does. So the interest in, if he is a Nyheim Hines type player, the interest in that is a lot lower than it was with Matt Ryan. So, but yeah, I guess in most redraft leagues, he's a handcuff. If Jonathan Taylor went down, Deion Jackson would be a top 20 running back. So I guess that means he should be rostered in redraft. In Dynasty, I think he's an interesting stash. I mean, he kind of, he's kind of having a career similar to Jaylen Warren, like a nobody. He's a nobody who comes into the league. He was drafted last year. He just kind of didn't do anything. So I guess it took him another year to get there. But he's only 23 years old. He's not an old player. So he should, in Dynasty, he should be rostered, obviously, in all leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's rostered in most leagues already with everyone dropping fab on him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's out there in almost any leagues.
Redraft, though.
Yeah, if he's somehow out there, obviously, in Dynasty, I would pick him up. But I find it hard to believe that he is. But yeah, it's not, again, as long as Jonathan Taylor is healthy, you won't be able to play. But Jonathan Taylor has not been healthy. Was hoping to trade Brandon Cooks. Okay, I think a lot of people. So let's get to Brandon Cooks and talk about the non-trade. Oh boy, we are a lot of comments. Okay. Let's talk about the non-trade. What value can I get with him still on the Texans? Should I just hold? At this point, I don't think you can. Can you even get a second for Brandon Cooks anymore?
No. I think he's a hold. I wouldn't take a third for him.
I'd hold just in case he's released at this point.
Maybe the offseason, the dream comes alive again.
Maybe. I mean, here, let me give you some comparable wide receivers. Would you rather have Brandon Cooks or Keenan Allen?
I'd rather have Keenan Allen.
Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup, but it's getting closer.
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers. I feel like Jacoby Myers is a tier above.
Sky Moore.
They traded for Kadarius Toney. It would. I'd take my chances with Sky Moore, honestly.
Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney easily.
Yeah. Darnell Mooney.
After today, I'd probably lean Cooks, honestly.
Lean Cooks, yeah. I'm kind of right around there. I think I actually agree with you. I think I would go exactly where you had him.
It's just.
The upside.
He's gonna be 30, and I know the drop off feels over exaggerated, but for his type of
wide
receiver,
sucks that he didn't get out of there right now, and that we have to wait.
Who knows how long we'll have to wait?
Yeah, we don't know how long we're gonna have to wait, and it just kind of feels like he's entering that kind of other phase of his dynasty life. And also, Brandon Cooks is not like what Julio Jones was when he was aging. Brandon Cooks is not a wide receiver one anymore. So I think it's time to start gradually getting used to what Brandon Cooks is now. Would you rather have Brandon Cooks or Michael Thomas?
Wow.
I know. I'm really putting your feet to the fire.
This feels like a Michael Thomas thing because if he comes back, he's going to have elite production because he showed good production when he played. I know.
He looked good.
You have to take
Michael
the chance.
Thomas. I know. The whole Michael Thomas thing is so sad.
What is the ceiling on a dice roll with Brandon Cooks? He gets out. He gets a new scenario. Maybe Green Bay. We'll just keep putting everyone in Green Bay.
I know.
The ceiling for Michael Thomas is he comes back. And
he's Michael Thomas again. Yeah.
And he eats into Olave's target share that he has right now a little bit, which I think he will. So
I feel like I mean, I feel like I'd almost even rather have Calvin Ridley over Brandon Cooks at this point. I think I've just kind of the rest of this season is going to be nothing for Brandon Cooks.
I mean,
unless he's released. If he's released,
it might literally be zeros.
Yeah. So Brandon Cooks is plummeting down my dynasty rankings. He needed to be traded, and I just, I feel a little bit bad for him that he wasn't. Yeah. But at the same time, like it is what it is. Like this is ironic. What happened.
We felt bad because he was traded so much early in his career. Now he's not getting traded at all. And we feel bad.
I know. It is kind of ironic. I can tell you, there's one player who's moving up my dynasty rankings as I adjust them more than any other. Keep moving him up and keep moving him up and feel like he's never high enough. Can you take a guess at who that is?
Gosh, who would that be?
It's one of my favorite players that I was people always say I wasn't in on him, but I loved him the whole time. But I always get criticized for not liking him enough.
I always get criticized for not liking him. You say he's one of your guys. I feel like I want to go with Jerry Jeudy, but
I hate Jerry Jeudy. It's Greg Dulcich. Right Greg team, wrong player.
Right team. See, you went through that period where you loved Jerry Jeudy. Like
I never loved Jerry Jeudy.
You did. You liked him.
No, it just seemed like I loved Jerry Jeudy because I disliked Cortland Sutton. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I disliked Cortland Sutton much more than I loved.
I mean,
maybe I love Jerry Jeudy. I love Jerry Jeudy coming into the NFL. But yeah. Is Justin Fields the real deal? Oh, this is only going to help him.
Too early to tell, but it's been promising as of late.
What's the Thursday night game this week?
Oh goodness, Houston, Philly, which is funny because they're playing a World Series.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna somehow have to watch both games at the same time, and I'm gonna figure that one out.
Houston versus Philly, that's insane.
That's in Houston, and the World Series is in Philly. That's
also just off topic, but I want to thank the chat. This is actually the most live views we've ever had on any show on this channel. I think it's the first time we hit 40 a couple minutes ago. I think it's the first time we've ever hit 40 live viewers on anything on this channel ever. Maybe at some point during the NFL draft, but other than that,
who was keeping track of that? That was like 7 hours long.
Yeah, who was keeping track? But no, this has been the most active the chat's ever been on this channel. So I just appreciate everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's been asking questions. Sorry, we're not getting to more of them. We will get to all of them. I'll get to the bottom. Don't worry. But I just want to appreciate everyone who tunes in and supports the channel. Just like, comment, subscribe. I say it all the time. Those are the best ways.
Yeah, you have to though.
The link to the Patreon is in the comments, the show notes, I guess you could call it. Is Justin Fields the real deal? Well, for start sit this week, I have him at quarterback 8 against Miami. They're going to be playing from behind. Feels right. Yeah, I think so. I think it has to be.
Is he going to pass Trevor Lawrence as the QB1 from the class?
No, because I'm worried about the job security.
That's fair. I mean,
I'm still worried about the job security because he hasn't looked good for real life. Like Jalen, at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts was winning games, and Justin Fields is not. So if a quarterback is constantly losing, you're always going to have concerns about that quarterback. These losers get replaced. You don't continue to be a quarterback in the NFL if you keep losing. So
it just feels unique, the scenario that they have. All those picks, all that cap.
To a degree, it feels unique, but it also, I mean, there is no doubt that Justin Fields is in a prove-it year in 2023. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, he's done. He's not going to be their quarterback in 2024. Like, he better succeed. Whereas I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get, I mean, I think in 4 years, you could still be hearing about he's best. Like, I really think Trevor Lawrence has like the longest leash of any rookie quarterback to enter the NFL since Andrew Luck. Not that Andrew Luck needed it, but I think Trevor Lawrence has just the longest leash. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to play his full rookie contract in the 5th-year option, even if he continues to struggle. I really do. I think he's just, you see that he is, it's hard. It's so hard to give up on what Trevor Lawrence was, because Justin Fields was not that. Justin Fields was a good prospect who could run, a good player, but not like a once in a life. No one was saying this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. There are players like that, and a lot of quarterbacks who come out like that. whereas people were saying that Trevor Lawrence was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
That class really folded on itself. You didn't pick a position player.
Yeah.
And even if you did, it could have.
But I will say that it's, to talk in reality, Trevor Lawrence has been bad. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah, Cooks. I want to get off of Cooks in Dynasty right now. I wanted to get. It's too late now, but it is what it is. But I'm dropping him in Dynasty. I guess I never had Cooks. Really, I wouldn't. I don't know. But he's falling in Dynasty. I want to move on.
If you get a second, though.
Trade a third round pick for Irv. You don't have to. I don't think you have to even give up a third.
Well, this is maybe a fourth in the very next comment. So
yeah, that sounds. If you can do it for
right, Bryce is thinking ahead. He knows.
I would absolutely trade a 4th round pick for Irv Smith. Who am I going to get in the 4th round? That's better.
You have to guess that you have to hit the next James Robinson, basically.
I'll take Irv Smith over that.
Exactly. I agree with you, but that's the bet you have.
In my Trade Addicts League, Irv Smith was my starting tight end. So now I have a big problem. Juwan Johnson is going in. Yay. The one time I put him in this year, he scored 2 touchdowns. What's happening? Chris says, if I have Fields, can I trade Hurts for a needed running back, or is Hurts too valuable?
I think Hurts is too valuable.
Unless it's a very valuable running back, Hurts is too valuable. Thoughts on Jeff Wilson? We talked about Jeff Wilson. I'm saying he's a handcuff with a tiny bit of flex value in weird situations, but yeah, no, not. He has more value now than he had before. His value increased, but I'm not like going out of my way to get him or anything. Raheem Mostert remains the starter. TJ Blockinson. I do worry that they're looking at a George Kittle type role for him. Chase Edmonds just got himself volume for 2 seasons. What? No.
I mean,
no. What volume? No.
It's gonna be a committee, but I feel like
he is under contract for. It was a 2-year deal that he originally signed with Miami, so he is under contract. Like
Javonte's not gonna be ready, so.
Yeah, but they're gonna. I think that they can do better than paying Chase Edmonds $6 million, none of which is guaranteed next year. I think they can just re-sign Mike Boone and they'd be better off. I don't think they're paying Chase Edmonds that $6 million. So, to me in Dynasty, he's just, he's whatever. It's not a player I want. No interest. If you had to have one running back on the Broncos for the rest of the season, forget Dynasty for a second. Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, because I think they're all irrelevant. Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray. If you can only have one for the rest of the season, who would you pick?
I'd probably pick Latavius Murray, to be quite honest with you.
Really? You see, yeah. I think most people would take Chase Edmonds, and I think I'd take Melvin Gordon. So this is what
it's ugly.
Yeah, I think I still want Melvin Gordon. But I think we're talking a running back out. I don't think you can trust any of them as a player you can use. And I'm certainly not playing any of them in week 10. I can't trust them. I don't know who's going to get the carries. They say a lot of things, and it's all tough to believe. Yeah. For this year, yeah. And then he needs to claim the starting role next year if he wants that value. Trevor Lawrence, Pitts, and Drake London up after the Ridley deal. Trevor Lawrence, they were always going to acquire someone, so I'm not like moving Trevor Lawrence up. They were always going to acquire someone else.
Didn't expect it to be Calvin Ridley, though.
I didn't expect it to be Calvin Ridley, but like I'm not moving Trevor Lawrence's value. He needs to play better for me to move his value up. I do agree slightly that Pitts and Drake London are up because I was very worried that Calvin Ridley was going to come back and they were going to draft another wide receiver and have all these great receiving weapons and never throw the ball. So at least with Calvin Ridley gone, I don't think they're going to be able to get 2 additional strong weapons. So I do think Pitts and Drake London may be up a little, but I didn't actually move them in my Dynasty.
I'm still concerned about Pitts and Drake London because the Falcons are playing themselves out of quarterback contention for the draft.
Well, they're not going to go with Marcus Mariota. So
I know they can't, but who are their options realistically going to be? They're going to Jimmy G.
But see, they're one of those teams where like, it's not like Geno Smith and Daniel Jones who have actually been, Geno Smith's actually been good. And Daniel Jones has been at least passable. They're a team where like Jimmy Garoppolo is better than what they have. They would be better. They're 4-4. They might be 7 and they've actually been pretty good. They might be 7-1 with Jimmy Garoppolo. Over Marcus Mariota they've been winning in spite of him, not because of him. He's been holding them back. He's been the worst part of their team. And they can get out of his contract and save $12 million next year. I cannot imagine that they go forward with Marcus Mariota. And even Jimmy Garoppolo would be able to. I mean, you see what Jimmy Garoppolo does. Jimmy Garoppolo's not having any problems supporting Kittle, Ayuk, and he can't support Kittle, Ayuk, CMC, and Debo. But if you just eliminate one piece, he can support the other three.
I mean, CMC's throwing the passing touchdowns, he can support them all. But
right. But what I'm saying is like
happen.
He can support 3 weapons. So I'm not concerned. If they have even a Jimmy Garoppolo type, he'll be able to support Pitts and Drake London. So Marcus Mariota is the one quarterback who can't. Anyone else, even Geno Smith could. Anyone else, any other quarterback could support these players. Maybe not Justin Fields, but they're better than what he's working with. But yeah, I'm not concerned. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year, but it's not going to be Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is abysmal. Really bad. What trade today makes you go, why? None of them are really. Chase Claypool one is a little bit like, it's expensive.
Expensive, but you know the why.
I know the why, but I disagree with it. I understand. I'm a little confused about why the Lions traded TJ Hawkinson away. I mean, I get it. I get they didn't want to pay him, but he's actually been good. He's been good for their offense. I know a lot of it comes from his value in the blocking game, but he's been good. I don't know. I didn't think he was someone they really needed to move. The Ridley trade makes perfect sense. The Hines trade makes perfect sense. Cheap insurance. The Wilson trade is the same thing. The Claypool one was the expensive one. And that one, I think, that one is a little bit of I totally understand why the Steelers did it, but it's a little bit weird from Bears' perspective.
It's more of why didn't the trades happen today?
I agree. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's what trades did not happen. I think in order of from most what the fuck to least, I would say the Cooks one is the most why is he still here? This team is the worst team in the league. You wanted a second, you couldn't just trade him for a third. This is going to kill you. Just accommodate. You're just going to have more of a distraction, more of a problem. He's expensive. Why is he still here? You couldn't take a third. That would have ruined your life. That one makes no sense. The Elijah Moore.
Yeah, he
kind of makes no sense. I don't know. You're not going to use him. I don't know why he's still there, but I get it with Elijah Moore, because with Elijah Moore, unlike Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore is cheap, not old, and you can probably get the same amount in the offseason. And you're winning. You're a winning team. So I think Elijah Moore is just going to have to suffer through the rest of this season, and I think he's going to make hell over the offseason and try to get out of there.
He's going to get out of there. I feel like Cam Akers is above Kareem Hunt.
Well,
honestly,
I feel like Kareem Hunt was a trade request and Cam Akers was a trade demand. I feel like there's a little bit, it just feels that way to me. Kareem Hunt was requesting a trade. It was always phrased that way. And Cam Akers was demanding a trade, refusing to play for the Rams. I expect Kareem Hunt to play week 10 for the Browns. I don't expect him to not play. Whereas I really legitimately think that Cam Akers has played his last down for the Rams, and they're going to find a way to reach an agreement that makes both sides happy. Cam Akers is probably going to have to give back it's a trade-off. You want to get out. You want out of the team you signed a contract with as a rookie. You have to give back some of the guaranteed money to do that. That's often how this works. That's how it worked with Odell and the Browns. Baker, with the trade away, needed to give up $3 million to complete that trade.
Brock Osweiler back in the day.
Brock Osweiler, well, that was different.
That's a team tab.
But
I just had to bring up Brock Osweiler. You don't get many opportunities.
Cam Akers, I think if he's just willing to give back $1 million or $2 million of his salary, he'll with guaranteed money, he'll be able to get this done. But yeah, I do not expect Cam Akers to play another down for the Rams. I still don't expect him to do that. And then a Kareem Hunt. Yeah, it is what it is. Smash the like button. Trade a mid 23 third and Everett for Dulcich. I'll take Dulcich.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. It's not even close to me. I'd much rather have Dulcich. I need a running back. Name someone I could get with Scary Terry. I don't know.
High-end RB2.
Could you get Miles Sanders in redraft? Maybe.
After they didn't trade for anyone, maybe it's tough. But that's
People
probably
are
like
a little
the
scared
type
with
of play.
DeAndre Swift. Could you get DeAndre Swift? That might be
mean,
that might be a good one to try.
Yeah,
DeAndre Swift.
especially with that quote today, I feel like that.
I know.
Felt to get
Yeah, try DeAndre Swift.
5 touches was too much, Dan Campbell. Okay.
I know.
All right.
Let's roll here. So Packers are a disaster. Great trade for Dulcich. Oh yeah, great trade above. Yeah, it could be a top 5 dynasty tight end by the end of the year. I think that's a stretch, personally. Right now I have him at tight end 9, but it's a long passing. Freiermuth and Goddard is not going to be easy. He could get up to 7, but passing Freiermuth and Goddard, unless he is a tight end, top 5 tight end the rest of the year, is going to be tough. Because those two have a lot of. I mean, Freiermuth has much more upside, much better prospect, and he's been good in his time in the league. And Goddard has a significant history of production. So top 5 will be tough. Brandon Cooks literally was begging to be traded and now is unhappy that he was not. Would you do Najee, Fields, Mooney, and Knox for Peoples-Jones and JT? I'm in win now. I think
it's a 1 QB.
Oh, it's 1 QB then, yeah.
10 team.
Of course. Yeah, if it's 1 QB, I'll take JT easily.
Yeah.
Lazard and Myers are free agents. Yeah, I mean, Juju's
lackluster class.
Lackluster, yeah. Juju's in similar quality to those two. Trade Fournette and Mike Evans for Swift, CD, and CD, or trade Cook and Mike Evans for Swift and Waddle. What is this? Redraft?
I would assume.
I'll take Swift and Lamb.
Yeah.
Over Fournette and Evans. Cook, I'll keep Cook. I trust Cook.
This one has me tossed up because Waddle is such a.
I'd rather have Waddle over Evans. I'd rather have Lamb over Evans too.
But I get it. The downgrade from Cook to Swift with the uncertainty.
Yeah.
I'll still do it. I mean,
I want Cook.
CD's been quietly really good.
Yeah, but I want Cook. Cook, I trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. Trent Richardson, yes.
Yeah.
It gives an underrated big boost for Muth. I did say that. Well, I didn't say it, but when I moved my dynasty rankings, Pat Freiermuth moved up the most. Actually, George Pickens didn't move at all, just because he's so high in the rankings that at that stage, just the gaps between players, he just didn't happen to move. But he did gain some value in my mind. Deontay Johnson moved up a couple of spots just because he's older, so he really needs to actually produce now in order to have value. But Muth moved up the most. So I agree with you. I'm with you. Sky Moore and a pick for Claypool. What? No. Sky Moore's worth more than Claypool.
Yeah.
Judy for Claypool. Judy's worth more. No. Chase Claypool lost value. He didn't gain value. He lost value. This is a terrible. This is the worst. The stone worst spot he could have gone to. So we don't want to acquire. If people are interested in Chase Claypool, I would love to trade him away. If I could get Jerry Jeudy for Chase Claypool, I will do it immediately and not look back. If I get Sky Moore and something else for Chase Claypool, I will do it immediately and not look back. I don't want Chase Claypool is a lot of failure. Now we're on a year and a half of failure. I don't want failure. Failure infests your dynasty team with failure. We don't want that. So I don't want him. Yeah, don't trade for him is the answer. We don't. Chase Claypool, this is not good. And now he's going to a no passing volume offense, which is going to need to bring in more weapons in the future with a quarterback who doesn't throw. So, no, thank you. People like my Trent Richardson comment.
It's true. Look at the graphs. There's been people posting a lot of graphs and stat comparisons. They all look right. I mean,
this is very true. And it's why I have given Kenny Pickett some slack and grace. Considering the schedule he's played as a rookie, he has been good. He's looked better than Zach Wilson in year 2 and Mac Jones in year 2. Year 1 on a bad offense, playing tough defenses. He's actually looked better than those guys.
I mean, he's still in that stretch, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's almost over.
It's almost over. New Orleans and Cincinnati. So
I'm not as afraid of New Orleans as I am Philadelphia, even though they just eviscerated.
Yeah, they just made Derek Carr look like nothing.
I know, but I'm still more afraid of Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia, Miami.
But after this one, the Bengals are nothing special, and then the Colts, Falcons. Ravens are tough, but then there's also the Panthers, Ravens again. It's still not the easiest schedule. but there's quiet quit. Michael Thomas quiet quit 3 years ago. Yeah. We should hear about the production that Michael Thomas has put up after his 5-year, $100 million extension kicked in.
It's not good.
Do you know what it is? Do you know how bad it is?
It's like the 3 games he played this season, like
yeah. So after his 5-year, 100 in the 3 years of his 5-year, $100 million extension, Michael Thomas has totaled 56 receptions for 609 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what $60 million has bought you so far.
Dude's
terrible.
Almost at with the 100 mil, he's almost averaging 2 mil a reception.
Cooks could pull a 2020 A-Rob. Cooks has looked fine. I mean, he's been fine. I mean, considering how bad his offense has been, he's actually been producing more than I think people expect. But I just feel bad for him. Like, this is not 2021 A-Rob. Like, Cooks is not washed. He looks just fine. He looks the same as last year. The problem is that the offense is so bad and Davis Mills is so bad that there's nothing he can do. But Cooks himself looks fine. I mean, it's not like 2021 A-Rob, but Darnell Mooney just became the one and Robinson became irrelevant. Nobody else is good on the Texans. That's true. Hines is better than Zach Moss. Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about this. Why is everyone so afraid of Hines? I'm not. But for Cook, I am.
Yeah.
Not afraid of him really for Singletary. Maybe a little. But again, and people thinking that this is a massive upgrade for Nyheim Hines are delusional. I don't like. This is a team that doesn't throw the running back. We talked about this. He's a must roster now. Who would you rather in Dynasty? Algier or Patterson or James Cook? I'll take James Cook. I mean, Patterson is so old. And Algier
did look good. He did look good this week.
Yeah, but did he? I mean, there are times where Caleb Huntley looks better and Caleb Huntley gets more carries and Caleb Huntley is a nobody. And there are times where Caleb Huntley looks better, times where Caleb Huntley gets more carries, times where, remember that Tyler Algier's only playing because the Cordero Patterson and Damian Williams have missed almost the entire season.
He saved his day with the receiving stats. He almost averaged close to 3 yards a carry. So, yeah, you're right.
Tyler Algier is averaging 3.9 yards a carry. Every other running back who's played significant time in this offense is averaging 4.6 or more.
But would you, if you're contending, would you try to swing CPAT and just see what happens the rest of the season?
That I might do. I mean, I'm interested in Patterson, but I'm not interested in Algier. Yeah. Not interested. I don't want Algier. Algier, to me, is borderline worthless.
I got to stop watching Red Zone. All I saw was that reception that he took, and he looked really good on.
James Cook, to me, is the superior prospect and somebody who, could. You never know. I mean, he's a running back who had high draft capital. He's only in his first year. I like to hang on to players like that. Algier is a 5th rounder who, even in his time, he got his shot and has not impressed me. So I'm good on Algier. I'll pass on. What about Tyrion Davis-Price? I just feel like it's the kind of thing where Tyrion Davis-Price and Elijah Mitchell are just buried now. So
yeah.
But you never know. Christian McCaffrey can get injured at any time, just like any other running back. So but the problem is that Tyrion Davis-Price is 3rd string. So I'm really just not that interested. Yeah, Akers to be traded. I do think that of the players, Brandon Cooks could cause a big disruption. Kareem Hunt is going to come back and play with the Browns and finish out the season. Elijah Moore, I think, is going to do the same because I don't think he has a choice. Akers, I think, is a little different. I don't really think there's actually that much animosity between the Rams and Akers. I think the Rams actually would like to accommodate him. And I think they will reach an agreement with him. And I think he'll be gone and find himself in the home. And I think that'll happen soon. That'll happen this week. I agree. This is a great move by Miami. Get rid of Chase Edmonds.
I mean, they need money to give Chubb that extension.
Yep.
So
I agree. It was a good move for the Vikings. Brock Wright? No, actually. It would be James Mitchell for me. Their rookie tight end. This is the Lions rookie tight end, James Mitchell. He would be a waiver ad for me in Dynasty, for sure.
Totally agree.
Should I trade Stephon Diggs for Pittman Jr. and Swift? I mean, Dynasty, yes. In redraft,
I feel like this is a redraft question.
Gotta be. Yeah, it only makes sense. Would you rather have those two players or the one Stephon Diggs?
Give me Stephon Diggs.
I think I'd rather just have the one Stephon Diggs who I can trust.
He's so
Those two
good.
players are losing a lot of value in redraft.
Big question marks on the other side.
Yeah, in Dynasty, I'm concerned about Swift. I'm not really concerned about Pittman. He's looked good throughout his career. He's had a great start to his career. He's always looked good. It's a little unfortunate, the quarterback situation he's found himself in throughout his career, but I'm not concerned about Pittman at all. Swift, though, I am. Yeah, I feel like you had your chance to buy Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do that. I feel like now
you got a long window.
Now people see him as a real asset again, so now it's too late. So now I don't want to do that. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Only good thing about the Bears is he doesn't hurt Fields' fantasy potential rest of season.
I mean, I get behind that.
Yeah.
It only helps Fields. I mean, he's not throwing into Keel Harry now.
Bro, what? I don't know.
You're gonna have to refresh us on that.
Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. James Cook momentum comes to Screen Hall. Yeah, kind of low key. Yes. I mean, I thought he was looking better. He was more involved this week, and then they just trade for another running back, and he, is now gonna have to share time. So he was, Unfortunately, I gotta endorse this assessment from Josh. It does come to a screaming halt.
Yeah.
Does Deion Jackson have any dynasty value? Sell for a third? Yes, he has dynasty value. Yes, I would probably sell for a third.
Yeah, I think he meant me to move for a third.
Like, I think it's also the kind of thing where he's not really who they want to be their backup. Like, he's their backup right now, and he is.
They traded for Zach Moss. You never know.
I don't think they want Zach Moss to be their backup there. I think they could just draft another player next year.
That's more likely.
Be the backup. Yeah, I don't think Deion Jackson is actually good.
I mean, this is the running back class to do it, or anyway, at least it was.
Yeah, so. I mean, a backup who isn't even locked into his job as the backup, I'll sell for a third if I have that kind of selling window.
Never know you can stumble on a third, though. We were talking about the fourth earlier. Third's a different story.
Najee and Henderson owner offered me a 23-second late and 23 third for Kyron Williams and Warren as rookie cuffs. Okay to sell. Let's see.
I'm cool with that.
Just okay. I mean, I'd rather have. Yeah, it's good enough. I'd rather have a second over either of these players, and I'd rather have Warren over Williams. Warren's actually done something in the NFL, but yeah, a second for Warren is probably a win for the second, and third for Williams is probably about right. So I'll leave.
Unless he takes a starting job, which I don't. There's a chance, but I don't think it's possible.
It doesn't feel like they're gonna do that.
It's like a 5% kind of chance thing. You know what I mean?
I think it would need to be an injury. I don't think that they're gonna be. Well, let me put it this way. I don't think it's going to be coach's decision. Jaylen Warren is the starter. I think the only way that happens is Najee Harris gets injured, misses time. Jaylen Warren gets a chance as the starter, and she's so good that they don't return to Najee Harris after that injury. But a healthy, it's a little bit similar. It's actually slightly less of it locked in than the Cowboys. The Cowboys are like, they're going to stick with Ezekiel Elliott no matter what. But I do think it would take an injury for Mike Tomlin to make Jaylen Warren the starter long term. Do we like Ronnie Rivers, running back for the Rams? I think that mostly happened because Darrell Henderson was sick. But I do think that they don't want Darrell Henderson to be their guy, and we know it. This week, I have Darrell Henderson ranked at running back 30 for now, and even that seems too high. I just cannot imagine that I would want to play Darrell Henderson this week against Tampa. I don't want to send him in there. But I don't want to play Ronnie Rivers either. Kyron Williams will be the backup when he returns, but Kyron Williams is a terrible prospect. So,
that 40 single-handedly.
I know, we're still talking about that 40. We still remember that.
It's bad when you're still talking about the 40 in like week 9.
Still talking about the fucking 40 now because he hasn't played.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The answer to this question is no, we don't like Ronnie Rivers. In a dynasty league, he should not be on waivers, if that's what you're asking. But I would pick him up and add him off waivers, but I'm not paying anything. And I'll take any fourth, I would say, even a fourth in exchange for Ronnie Rivers, and I'm fine with just taking the profit. Would you move Dulcich for Njoku? I would rather have Dulcich.
I feel like it's closer to a toss-up.
Yeah, have him back-to-back. So it is a toss-up, but I'd rather have Dulcich.
That's
younger
fair.
player, less.
But if he
failure,
gets the pick swap in there, third for a
then I
second on
take the
top,
side that has the better pick.
I agree.
Who's top running back waiver this week? Well, that depends on who's available.
Jeff Wilson,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, depends on who's available. Better question is always, I have these guys on waivers. Which one would you choose? Because then I know who's available in your league.
Short
Best on
answer,
waivers
yes. I already
is
read
vague.
this one.
Should I trade Ramondre and Tua for Lamar and Leonard Fournette? Oh, it's actually pretty close.
I assume this is Dynasty.
If this is, well, it also depends if it's Superflex or not. I mean, if this is Dynasty Superflex, then it's Lamar. If it's any Superflex, it's Lamar still, even now. If it's redraft, then it's still Lamar because I'd rather have Lamar over Tua and I'd rather have Fournette over Ramondre barely. I do. They did get Damian Harris more involved again.
The Bucs are just a mess.
The Bucs are a mess, but I'd still lean.
But Lamar is just so worth it.
Even though Tua's been better lately, I'll still lean the Lamar side.
Lamar's going to bounce back when, Andrews is finally healthy and Bateman gets back. Whenever that may be.
That could take a while. Non-PPR redraft league. Would you trade Kamara, Diggs, and Amari Cooper for Kupp, Kelsey, and Swift? Non-PPR. So standard redraft league. Kamara, Diggs, and Cooper for Kupp, Kelsey, and Swift. I'd rather have Kupp and Diggs are essentially equal. Actually, with the injury, they're essentially equal. And then I'd rather have Kamara and Kelsey are pretty equal.
This feels very linear, if you ask me.
Cooper and Swift. It is non-PPR. Which reduces the value of Kamara a little. I'd lean the Kelsey side. I always tend to pick the Kelsey side.
Yeah.
In these questions. I'll lean that side, but it's very close.
I agree. I mean, Kupp's going to play this week with the ankle. We'll see how he is, but it could swing this trade into a big win or a big loss.
Kelsey's already also has passed his bye, so you have that elite tight end weapon every week for the rest of the year. So that, and a Kupp also had his bye, and so did Swift. All right, I'll take that side then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If Swift hits, you're big winner. So
14-team Superflex win now. Need running back. Was offered JT for early 23 first, late 23 first, and now I'm not paying this anymore. This is too much. An early 23 first and another first is too much to pay for.
In Superflex, give me the quarterback. Give me Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
It's a good decent chance I'd rather have JT over those players straight up, but not with an extra first. So I'll take the picks. With Hines gone and OC gone. Oh, the OC was fired today.
Yeah, he was.
Any chance of increased volume of targets for JT? Yes, there is a chance. I raised JT's value a little bit in redraft. Not in Dynasty. Hines or any 23 second? Any 23 second. Hines wasn't worth the 23 second before, and he lost value. I don't get it. I
agree.
I don't get it.
Take the second and run. I don't care if it's
Take the second and run. Yeah. Okay. What would you pay for Elijah Moore in picks? I think this is a great time to buy Elijah Moore. I would try to send a second for Elijah Moore. DPJ in a second.
I think that gets it done.
Yeah, do it. Would you rather have Harrison Bryant or any of the Lions tight ends as a stash? Harrison Bryant did nothing this week, but I would still lean toward Harrison Bryant was a Mackey Award winner. I mean,
he's put it on film too when he's had the chance to.
He's put it on film. He beat out David Njoku for the starting job as a rookie. Or not starting, but the second tight end. But I guess it was a starting. They played base 12. So yeah. I'm gonna lean toward. I'll stick with Harrison Bryant. I mean, he was a great prospect. Still young.
I agree.
He had one bad game, but James Mitchell is nothing. Is a nothing prospect. I'll stick with Harrison Bryant. But James Mitchell should be added. Not Brock Wright, but James Mitchell. Yes, Elijah Moore. Waivers are pretty light this week. I feel like we've been saying that all year. Hasn't been a big year for waivers.
Weeks 1 through 3 always are, but after that.
Not really.
After Garrett Wilson got scooped up and who else was there? I mean, Kenneth Walker, if you were part of that week.
But those were still in shallower leagues because in a lot of deeper leagues, those guys were rostered.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In most leagues, well, if you listen to me, Garrett Wilson was drafted. You drafted Garrett Wilson because I had him in the low, 37 to 40, depending on when you drafted among receivers. So if you listen to me, he was drafted. in your league. Would you trade Fields and DJ Moore for Sutton and Pierce? Which Pierce?
I'm gonna assume Damian.
I need help here. Format Dynasty.
I mean,
Superflex.
format
This is
as well.
there's too many what ifs there. Okay, this has got to be Dynasty. Ton team Superflex. How much would you need to add to Kelsey to get to Higgins? Would Kelsey and Russ for Dak be fair? So let's take that one step at a time. What would you have to add to Kelsey in this? This is a big premium to get to Higgins.
I don't feel like it has to be much in the tight end premium.
Yeah, but there's 10 years difference in age between those players.
I mean, yeah, you got a point.
I don't think you're adding a first, but Kelsey in a second, I'd still take Higgins.
Yeah.
Help. And then what about the part 2? Kelsey and Russ for Dak. I think I would just take Dak and run. Personally.
Russ, I don't know if there's any bouncing back for Russ.
I don't trust Russ. And Dak has looked better last week. He looked finally healthy from the injury. I would just take Dak and run. I love how PPR is now standard and standard is now non-PPR. Yeah, that's funny.
That's how it is.
I often hear people say a standard PPR league. Frank Reich should be held responsible. I've been saying this for a long time. I've been saying that Frank Reich is a failure. Is a failure, an overrated head coach, and has been horrible for years. I've been saying this for years. I called for Frank Reich's head last year. I said that he was on the hot seat. He should be fired. He was an incompetent head coach. And, he was responsible for acquiring Carson Wentz. He endorsed Carson Wentz. He endorsed acquiring Matt Ryan. He has not been held responsible for all of his failures. He is a big failure, and he has not been held responsible. He has not taken any accountability. He's always excused his mistakes over the last few years. He's taken no responsibility for any of the bad moves he's made, of which there are so many. Uncountable number. I mean, we could go on and on. I could do a whole show about how bad Frank Reich has been, and no responsibility taken whatsoever. He should be fired, not just the offensive coordinator. It's time for Frank Reich to go and for the Colts to get, and general manager Chris Ballard.
So I was about to go in on Chris Ballard.
Has done a horrible job. He's equally responsible for acquiring all of these washed up veterans that they've acquired. They've put themselves in a bad situation. They're not going to get a good quarterback next year. Irresponsible, bad management, and probably some of it comes down to the ownership booth with Jim Irsay, also failure, big failure. But they need to clean house because it's no good. Right? This Reich Ballard crew is just unacceptable.
He has done such a good job at filling.
He's done such a good job at doing a bad job.
No, I'm talking about Chris Ballard filling the spots. The non-important spots in the football field, off-ball linebacker, guard, halfback. He did really good at filling all the non-important.
He's done all that. Yeah, he's been a total failure. He couldn't fill
quarterback. He's basically failed.
He
at corner
is
pretty much.
an inept general manager and should have been fired a long time.
The rest of the O-line looks terrible this year.
Yeah, he has
been the
general manager since 2017. And what have the Colts accomplished in that time? Forcing Andrew Luck to retire. They made Andrew Luck retire. That's what they did. That's Chris Ballard. That's Chris Ballard's legacy, along with hiring. I mean, he hired Frank Reich, didn't he, as the head coach? He hired Frank Reich, who has been an utter failure as head coach. This was his handpicked head coach who is now on 5 years of failure. 5 years of failure from Frank Reich, yet he still is employed. So that won't work for me. I don't want to hear more about that. They should be fired immediately. That's what I think. This is still okay. So Fields, it's PPR. That doesn't help me.
I'm just gonna assume redraft. No one talks.
Yeah, it's got to be redraft. And it's probably 1 QB because there's not much Superflex redraft. So if this is a 1 QB redraft, then it's Dameon Pierce easily.
Yes. Take the running
Sutton
back.
and Moore. I'd rather have Moore, but not too different.
You could replace that. You can replace Fields too.
You can replace it. Yeah.
You can't replace.
You cannot replace Dameon Pierce
exactly.
so easily. Justin Fields is a good matchup this week. So I have him at QB8, but not every week. Against a better defense, I wouldn't have him quite as high.
You could stream rest of the year to get someone like Dameon Pierce.
He's not a quarterback who carries that much value. Putting in overtime.
Overtime. Round of applause.
I'm gonna do 2.5 hours to 3 hours later somehow. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But I wanted to come on and do a special show on my channel to cover the trade deadline. There aren't that many days like this. There's the trade deadline. There's the draft. Where I do long streams like this. But this stream isn't that long, but like extra streams on specific news. Most of the time, my extra shows are short. But I think we got to everything. I think we got to everything. We talked about it all. So yeah, if you liked it, if you like the show, like the show, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment on the show, because that really helps the algorithm. Additionally, here I will take in redraft, I'll take Foreman and Wandell very easily. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. And then follow us both on Twitter. You see our Twitter handles. I'm on that run to 30K. Need like 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I can get
so
there
close.
soon. I know. But I'm on that little run. And then, yeah, Patreon updated their billing to just be monthly, but it is the first of a month. You can sign up for my Patreon. It's in the link at the bottom of the show. You can click on it and sign up. And then, yeah, I'll be back in a couple hours doing Ask DLF, 9 p.m. Eastern on the DLF YouTube channel. It's simulcast here, or if you're watching this tomorrow or whatever, it's still on the DLF YouTube channel. You can watch the replay, and you can watch the replay of this. If you missed the beginning part of the show, we've talked about all the trades in the live chat, and you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, you got anything else? You got anything to say?
No, go Phillies, man.
I'll go Phillies. I wish I could endorse that, but I can't.
You can't. I know you're a New York guy. You can't endorse
New York,
that.
yeah, I can't endorse that. But anyway, I'm a Yankees fan though, so
Yeah, it's against the Astros. You don't like the Astros. They cheated against you, so you could endorse that. One time only.
Anyway, thanks to everyone for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Peace.